Months of editing videos for YouTube for learning how to code and the ones that are on this channel. I've been using Premiere Pro for all of these things and a bit of After Effects. But I've been hearing a lot about DaVinci Resolve and all it can do. So I think it's time we give it a go. So hi, yes, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm Tom. This is Return TP, and normally this channel is all about coding, so app development using SwiftUI for Apple products. But this one's different because I kind of wanted to share for people that are maybe looking into YouTube, maybe coders and stuff that are doing tutorials and all that jazz. That basically there's a huge question mark when you start off, and I know it held me back for a bit of making that jump into which video software that you want to use when you want to edit your videos and when you want to upload them. So I decided on Premiere Pro. I'll go into the reasons why in just a moment, but that's what I've been using and a bit of After Effects. But I've been hearing a lot about DaVinci Resolve, and obviously it's an amazing piece of software that many people are turning to. So I want to try it out. And so in last week's video that I uploaded, I decided to make the jump to edit it completely in DaVinci Resolve and upload it from DaVinci Resolve. And this one as well, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So now I'm going to post basically my reasons for doing so. I want to look at how I found it. What's the comparison between Premiere Pro, After Effects, and DaVinci Resolve 18? Also, I want to address that final question of would I swap completely or will I stick with Premiere Pro? So let's have a little look at it. First, the question of why did I pick Premiere Pro to begin with when I started trying to edit videos for my YouTube channel? And the simple answer is basically we use Adobe Suite at work. So we do quite a lot of design work, and I'm using Illustrator every day. Photoshop maybe once or twice a week. I had access to them and I started learning them. So bit by bit, I put together a way of editing videos. Let's now go into my laptop and we're going to look at some examples of the comparisons that I found between the two software and how I found using them. On my desktop, I have opened up two projects. So I've got my tutorial from last week, which I did in DaVinci Resolve 18, and I also opened up my tutorial before that, which I did in Premiere Pro and After Effects. So let's have a look, first of all, at the UI. And I will not be, should I be ashamed of it? Maybe I should be ashamed of it. I'm going to say I find this intimidating. There is a lot going on. I've always found that since I started using it all the way up till now. I obviously know what everything does, most things, 90% of things. I know what 90% of these things do. But it's just so much of it everywhere. And I'll be honest, comfortable with it, but not necessarily kind of uncomfortable with it as well, actually, if I'm honest. However, DaVinci Resolve, I gotta say, it wins on the UI front because this is the editing window, okay, in comparison to this editing window. And I'm just going to say that this is just so much more cleaner. Like it doesn't skimp on any of the controls or anything like that, but there's something about it, just not having so many icons and busyness all around here. It just keeps it neater. I've still got access to everything that I need to, all of my clips, and the inspector, although it cuts off the other screen, it gives you everything. So if I select a clip, I can, you can affect all of the things that you need to on here, like you would do in Premiere Pro. So you're not missing out or skipping on anything, but yeah, it just seems like such a cleaner UI, which is really cool. How about our next thing? So, anything else? Well, let's have a look next at the ease of use. And to be honest with you, I used to find this control here on the timeline a little bit frustrating. But obviously there has to be a way of doing it. DaVinci has a similar sort of thing that I found, which was the zoom, which, maybe that works a little bit better to be fair, but hey, it does the same thing and I'm not overly fussed. So these sort of things work okay. Moving things in and the titles and all that sort of stuff that we've got here that I've added onto the timeline. Easy enough to do. It's easy enough to do in DaVinci Resolve. Not really much of an issue there. So yeah, workability, I've kind of found them both even, to be fair. Now, one thing I will say that I did find a lot more handy in DaVinci Resolve, and maybe it does exist in Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects, possibly. If it does, do comment below and let me know what it is because I'm not too sure I know about it. However, DaVinci Resolve came up with this awesome little thing here. If you go to titles, and I found this brilliant. So this is a middle third title, different text effects. And if you scroll across here and things, it shows you what the effect's going to be, which is an awesome little preview, I think. So just there. Let's go to some ones where you can actually see what's happening. Oh, so they've got the sample data, call out, the center reveal, all of these different ways. I mean, this is brilliant little just so normally you'd have to go through and with After Effects and everything, I think you can get templates, but you have to animate all of these things. Like I've got a front title. I had to let me play that. I had to animate this all in After Effects, okay? And obviously at the time it took a little while for me to get it, which it would do if I was new. However, this I redid my title a little bit, and this made it so much more simple, just having all these templates included in the software. Because all you've got to do is, if you go onto this and then go onto the inspector, it would, if I show you this one, it tells you, look, so the title, so you just literally change the text, change a couple of the settings if you want to get it where you want it to be, and then you get the view that you want, the title that you want, which I can't be saying this, that was refreshingly simple. That really was. Now, it's probably a good time to address actually one of the issues that I would say I kind of have with Adobe, which I don't have with DaVinci Resolve. And that is, through the video, I've had to say I use Premiere Pro and After Effects. Two great pieces of software, absolutely, but they're two pieces of software. And Adobe has given you the capacity now of you've been able to, if I believe so, I can show it on here, if I go to the right place, that you can create it. Oh, I've lost it. But you can, there you go. You can replace it with an After Effects composition. So it opens it up with After Effects. You do all your editing and manipulation with the motion graphics, and then it comes back again, which obviously is handy. However, that's just complicated. It takes time, and it's a bit long. Okay. However, here's where DaVinci Resolve, again, it just seems to edge out the competition a little bit, which I'm really impressed with, which is this little icon here, which is Fusion. And now Fusion is effectively After Effects inside the same piece of software. And this is how DaVinci works with the different tabs, editing everything. And now you get to this one, which is where you'll affect it. Now, the clever part of this again, which again I've been really enjoying, simple little things, intuitive things. So I have my play icon over this clip. I now go to Fusion, and there's my clip. That is a terrible face, by the way. But anyway, this is where we go. And then we're in the After Effects bit exclusively on this clip, and we edit it. However, maybe I want to change it. Maybe I want to go to, oh no, I want to do the title. I want to change the title bit and do a bit of, After Effects style manipulation. Well, I've just had the playlist over it, and now I'm here. Gone into Fusion, it's editing this clip, okay? Which is just a really intuitive, simple way of doing it. And if I'm going to be honest, that's going to be the word that I'm going to apply to DaVinci the whole way through over After Effects and Premiere Pro. It's just built a little bit differently to be simple. There's no complicated, there's no tons of stuff going on. It's completely capable, but simple. And it just presents you with a simple UI, a simple way of working. Let's just tackle the one thing which is very different about DaVinci. And I would say for a lot of people, especially if you're new, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Fusion the After Effects version and part of DaVinci Resolve uses node-based editing. Unlike, if we go to Premiere Pro, it has stacks, okay? So it has layers. And you can see how it works. If I do this, so we've got where my titles are, okay? So I've got a clip of me. On top of that, I have text. These text bits are on top of my clip in layers, in stacks above each other. And it makes sense that that's what's happening. However, in this, it does it through nodes, and it basically gives you the media that's in, it gives you the media out, and then you have to apply nodes along this line to be able to basically manipulate the software. Now, this sounds very complicated and it's a little bit different way of thinking. Fortunately, I come from a little bit of a background where I've been playing around with Blender quite a lot, the free 3D software, and that obviously uses all node-based workings for its materials and procedural stuff and everything. So I get nodes a little bit easier than maybe if I had never used Blender. So that's just me personally. If you're not sure how node editing works, maybe I could try to illustrate it this way to hopefully make it a little bit more simply. You have to think of it like an assembly line. So if you think of an assembly line of building, I don't know, a car door, for example, you start off at the beginning with a sheet of metal, and as it goes along the factory line, each machine works on it to do the next stage, which then passes it on to the next machine. So first it cuts it, then it bends it, then it adds a back to it, then it adds, I don't know, the handle to it, and then it adds the glass to it for the window, and then the motor to move the window up and down, and eventually till the point it gets to a car door. And this is a similar sort of thing of what we're doing. So we have our beginning clip, nothing to it, it's just the raw footage, and then we're going to add and then put nodes on it, so different sort of elements of factory machines as it moves along the timeline until it gets to the end of the factory line and you have your media out. So it may have added a title, that title moves, then there's a mask so that the title doesn't go behind something else, and then you've got blur maybe on the footage at some point. And hopefully this makes sense, so that it applies as it goes, and then eventually you get to media out. So that's going to take a bit of adjusting. I would recommend a few YouTube videos going through and learning that, which I mean I could probably do. So put the comments below if that's what you would like to see on this channel as well. A few video editing DaVinci things. Maybe you find that useful. But yeah, so far this is how I found it. Really useful. I found it easy to get into grips with. So yeah, so that is Fusion versus After Effects. So let's move on to the next bit, which I think again it leans in DaVinci's corner, to be honest, because this is where DaVinci Resolve, came from, which was color correcting. Now in Premiere Pro, I have Lumetri color. Did I say that right? Obviously, you've got all of these things. You've got the creative, basic correction, and everything, which they work. I'll be honest, you may notice from my other videos, you can probably tell that I don't really do much color correction. However, DaVinci made me do it because I know that this is its bread and butter. And without all of this confusionness that I had in Premiere Pro, the color correcting on this tab, I genuinely found quite easy to play with. And one of the reasons why I found it so easy to play with was this history button resets everything back to normal. So I felt no stress about playing around with the color to my heart's content, because I just was grabbing everything, changing it around, changing all these values and everything, trying to get whatever value I wanted, and then just straight back again, which was great. So yeah, that was a really handy little feature to be able to use in DaVinci. And I would say that the color grading that I did in this was far better. These little adjustments that I made, I had great results. And I'm not surprised, because obviously DaVinci, it is a color correcting software at heart, from what I understand, its basis. So this is an amazing aspect. There was not going to be any way that Premiere Pro was going to beat this, I guess. I should have expected it. One also little handy little tool that I found so great when it comes to DaVinci was this little button up here, which turns it all off. So you can't see. So that's the original color. And then you turn back on and you can actually see the comparison. Whereas when I was doing this in here, I did play with color correction a little bit, and you do it and you can't really see the difference because your eye kind of loses it. You kind of accept of how it was and you forget what it did look like. So I gotta say, DaVinci, you won me over with your color correcting, absolutely 100%. So yeah, that was color correcting. Now all the other things we've got is audio, which I didn't really play around with too much. However, I know that you can do a lot with this, much like you can with Premiere Pro, to be fair. Although again, I really find this a lot more simpler to look at. So that is kind of a review of how I found each section of DaVinci Resolve versus Premiere Pro. I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise to say that I am really enjoying DaVinci. Maybe it's because, in all fairness, I've got a little experience of editing videos now, and with that sort of 4 months or so worth of experience to go into a new video editing software, it kind of like I'm finding it easier, maybe. Maybe that's the case, but I've got to be honest, all in all, DaVinci is so much better. I can see why people go for it, and it's free. Like you don't have to pay for this. So I would definitely recommend it. If you're looking into YouTube, if you're looking into video editing, basic or more complicated, I think DaVinci Resolve is the way. So at the moment it's version 18 and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great bit of software and I'm definitely going to keep using it on the next few videos and see how I get on. But I don't see any compelling reason why I'd go back to Adobe, in all honesty. So yeah, if you're looking into this, give it a look. I think DaVinci might really be up your street. The node-based editing is going to be maybe a little bit of a learning curve, but give it a go. Play around with it. A few YouTube tutorials here and there of how to do different things, and you'll be on your way. So that was my review of what software I'd be using for video editing in the future, and there is a clear winner. Absolutely. What about you? What do you use? Do you use DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro, After Effects? Let me know below. Let me know which one you prefer. Or if you've tried both, which one are you finding easier to cope with? So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what people say actually. So, yeah, please do leave a comment below. Also, like and subscribe if you can. But thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you sticking with me. Hopefully, this has been useful in you deciding which bit of software that you're going to pick if you're looking into this. Or maybe you've been using one of them, you want to give the other one a go. So go for it. Enjoy, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.